Hello and good morning. Hello and welcome to Redefining the Significance of You Time for You, by you, because of you. My name is Denise Drinkwalter, and I'm an empowerment life coach supporting women around the world to lean in and realize the importance of you. The goal of this channel is to provide you, the viewer, some takeaways that will help you shift, change, reevaluate, or re-become more aware of what is truly possible. We have a variety of incredible guests who share their life experiences that have helped them become the incredible human beings that they are today. Every one of us, sometime in our lives, when we have had that free time, frequently feel guilty, embarrassed, and or wrong for taking out time for ourselves. We are here to change that and support you to see what is truly possible for you when you take the time for you, by you, because of you. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Marni Hill Foderaro to our show today. Dr. Foderaro is an author who writes extensively about handling life's challenges and adversity with love, compassion, honesty, and goodness while doing inner self-reflection work and research to fully understand a multitude of situations. Dr. Foderaro retired from education after a very rewarding and successful 35-year career working in the Chicago suburbs. She published her first book in 2019 and has written many others since then. Welcome today to our show, Dr. Foderaro. So great to have you here.
Thanks, Denise. And please just call me Marni. I'm really happy to be here with you.
Perfect. Let's jump in. We had a bit of a conversation before we went on live today. It was so wonderful to have a chat with you. I would love to know a little bit about these books that you are writing and have written. Tell us about, I know there's more than one, and I understand there's a series. Can you give us a bit more about behind the scenes of those?
Well, sure. The first book I wrote is called God Came to My Garage Sale, and it was endorsed by James Redfield, who wrote the Celestine Prophecy. It won many awards, is part of book clubs internationally. But it was about an atheist woman who lost everything and had some spiritual experiences that happened at a garage sale. So during a very tough and challenging time, this character was filled with love and compassion and handled these challenges just with grace. And because of that, was just shown that there's a bigger picture in our journey here on earth. And, very much this book was kind of modeled after myself. I left a 27-year marriage realizing that my values did not align with who I was with. And, turned out I was in a domestic abusing situation that even included parental alienation of our two adult children, which has gone on for almost a decade with one of the kids. So very devastating traumas. But I believe as people we can't control what other people do or what situations we have, but we can control ourselves and our responses to whatever challenge might come before us. And I found writing to be very healing on my journey. And you know but research is very important. You need to really look into what you're dealing with, different personality types. What are some of the terminology that kind of explains what you've gone through, because that helps you, when you put a name to something, it helps you know what you're working with, and that there are steps you can take to keep moving forward. But a big part of the whole journey, I believe, is self-reflection. And there's a lot of self in there, but it's not a selfish thing. It is really looking at your own intergenerational family traumas, your family of origin, what was the foundation that made you a people pleaser or someone that did not have very strong boundaries? And where you find yourself in situations, you can see that there's some patterns to these things, and you need to take some action steps to break these patterns, to keep moving forward. So I found writing to be very healing. A change of scenery was great for me after a lifetime in the Chicago suburbs and after losing most everything. I moved to the Caribbean, where I've been for over 3 years, and found being immersed in nature has been very, very therapeutic in my journey.
That's incredible. I love what you're sharing here, in particular around the two pieces. There's the stuff that you need to understand in order to create your journey moving forward. It's really, really difficult to land on what's best for you until you know and understand what has happened and what may be happening currently, right?
Definitely.
That's when you can implement strategies that will help you. You can't just take any book off the shelf and go, "Oh, here's an answer," and you go and try it. Well, this didn't work. Well, we need to understand what's going on before we can put strategies that are matching where you need to be. I love that. I love that. That's
Right. And
amazing.
we're all, on a different path. We're all on a different level of evolving on our journey. So, like, you might start out in flight or fight mode, where you just are just taking care of your basic survival needs. And that's where you are at right now. And that might be the best you can do. And that can actually be a wonderful place to be, to just start your journey, and then learning about it and taking time for yourself, doing a lot of self-reflection, and even quieting your mind, and realizing that you don't need to be validated by external sources or the shoulds and the, like, oh, I have to do this because this is what's expected of me. We need to really honor ourselves and realize, maybe our path involves passions that we need to rediscover. We need to have a creative outlet to dealing with what we are dealing with. And just being honest is such a great virtue. And being optimistic, even in times when you think there's no hope, there's always hope, because we're always evolving, we're always changing. And so, you know realize that there are many different levels to healing from any kind of trauma. And I am feel very fortunate that I've just done the work, and I've written the books, and I've gotten validation from people that have endorsed the books or have read the books, and you realize that, hey, there's another approach out here that could be very healing. And you just never know the ripple effect you'll have until you speak your voice. You talk on a podcast, or you write in a book, or you write a magazine article. You're impacting others, and but you just don't quite know. But sometimes it's nice to get that validation.
Right? I love what you're sharing there in terms of the pieces that need to go together behind the scenes. And that self reflection piece is so pivotal. How do people even begin? Like, I know it's a lot of buzzword stuff, but what's a good strategy to start with, to start self-reflection? Is there anything in particular that you have found, or that you know that your readers have come back and said that has been amazing and helped me shifting?
I think we need to, I have a teacher background just like you, so we really like having some kind of structure and format to some of the activities and action steps that we would take. So, I'm a big one in just writing some things down, even if it's a matter of getting blank pieces of paper, or poster board, and putting yourself in the center, and just kind of seeing who you have surrounded yourself with, what people you have surrounded yourself with, and what situations, where your environment, your job, your uh, the town you live in, just the activities that you are involved in. And then take a hard look at each one of those things and see if it's, what are the intentions? What are the motivations for staying in this particular relationship, or for staying in this particular job, or this particular place? And you might find, yeah, there's this is a keeper. This is someone to keep in your life, because they are supportive of. There's mutual respect. It's a nice balance. But then you're going to probably find there are people and situations in your life that are not serving your highest good. In fact, can actually be sabotaging you on your journey. And that is really hard because, we are trauma bonded to people. We might have had a relationship that we have so much history with this person. They know us longer than our spouses or our ex-spouses, and so we're bonded to them. But realizing that what it was back in your childhood may not be serving you now in your adulthood. And so really you have to take a hard look at the relationships and the situations to see, you know, how true they are. In fact, my book series is called True Deceit, False Love, because we all want true love in our friendships and our interactions, in our relationships, in our families. We want that true unconditional love. But lots of times when we start to really reflect, the love is not true. There is some deceit, and that could be what is operating here. And so taking that hard look, that actionable step, I believe, getting the emotions and the situations out of your body and onto a page so you can see it really helps, you put the pieces of the puzzle together. So that is one definite action and step to take early on, is just to really reevaluate who is in your life, why they're in your life, and should they stay in your life.
I love that, because when you separate yourself from and look at it with a different lens, you start to be able to see things that you couldn't see before. It's that infamous, what's the saying? Can't see the forest for the trees,
Right. In
right?
fact, that's one of my poems in one. It's the exact name of the poem, because we are stuck. And it's not our fault that we are stuck like this. It's just we get busy in our lives. We ignore red flags that really should be glaring in our face, saying, you know, change this situation. This is not
Yeah.
healthy. We also all have a gut intuition, just a inner
Mhm.
feeling when something is not right. And we ignore that a lot. We just
Yeah.
push past it instead of saying, wait a minute, my body and my heart and my soul, I'm trying to get a message here. What is the message? Let me analyze it a little bit. Because if
Mhm.
something just doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. And that's where, like, even understanding gaslighting comes in, because
Mhm.
there are people that gaslight us. We even gaslight ourselves, into
Mm.
believing a false narrative. And, we need to get real with where we're at, even as painful as it is to let go of some situations that, we go along because we're comfortable. We think this is the right thing to do. Sometimes making a big change, or even small little changes, is what we need to do to be true to our own integrity.
It's so important to understand the reality with which we live. You said lives are busy, we get all caught up in it. I like to ask the question, when was the last time you remember being you? Not the role you play, but you as a person. When was the last time you can literally recall being you? When I ask that question, some people jump right in. Oh, yes, yesterday I was all happy, but being fully you, not just a moment, but being you. And what you're talking about, how you are compassionate, you're honest, you're, real about yourself and
Mhm.
understanding yourself in new ways. And when we do that internal work that you're talking about, that's when the compass guides us right. Otherwise, the compass is being taken, and the magnetic fields around are actually changing our compass. So we want to get back to our true north, right? And the
Oh, that's a
best way to,
wonderful
right?
analogy. Yeah.
And the best way to do that is what you're talking about, is taking time for you, yourself, doing this work. And what Marnie has just shared is not a tough exercise. Don't be afraid of it. It's your private paper. Get it out on paper. Nobody else needs to know. It's your work, it's your journey. And as you start to step in, your energy begins to change. And when your energy changes, my experience, not only with me and my clients, but as anybody, the world around us changes to go with us. And those that no
Definitely.
longer serve us.
Right. But a disclaimer here is that you're going to get uncomfortable. And there
Oh,
will be some times where justice doesn't prevail. And even though you are a person of integrity with honesty, as you know, a value that you hold dear, you're still going to experience people that don't have that same belief and don't operate with that same narrative. So there are losses as a
yeah.
result of this. You know, some people that know my story know that I have been alienated from my two adult children, which for any loving parent is just devastating. You know, based on a false narrative, and we could do a whole show just on parental alienation. But the bottom line is there are some significant losses.
Yeah.
And, you know, as long as you can still say that you've done the absolute best that you
Mhm.
can and choose to continue living despite these losses, that is a real testament to your strength and your courage. So realize that even though you do this inner work and you get to a more authentic and real place, um, it still can involve some sadness and losses, and that's just part of life. You know, we
Life.
cannot change some of these things. We can't change people, nor do we want to. We want to
No.
just focus on what we can do for ourselves. And
Yeah.
I still believe that even though my adult children aren't in my life based on a false narrative and lies and whatever it is, it's very sad. It's child abuse, actually. You know, I can only role model being a wonderful mom the way I always have, and just hope that the universe, the stars will align and the light bulbs will go on. You know, for me, it took me 27 years before I finally
Yeah.
said enough is enough in a marriage. And that's many years. That's almost 3 decades. And so if it took me, someone who really is conscious of this and reasonable and a lifelong learner wanting to figure it all out, it's going to take people a long time before they put the pieces together. But take these action steps, and writing is definitely one step forward. And then change of scenery helps, and taking time for yourself, even if it's
Mm.
just taking a bath, taking a walk in nature, meditating, you know, curling up in a favorite chair for half an hour, whatever you do for yourself, it's all very helpful on your journey.
Absolutely. Even as you're talking, one of the things that I know comes up a lot, and then the guilt that I talked about in the introduction happens, it ties itself to this. I find a lot of times, go and take a rest, go for a nap,
Mhm.
right? And people are like, but I don't have time. That's when you probably need to do it more, right? When there's no
Right,
time because
and you know, restorative sleep is so important. And I have, now that I'm in the Caribbean, now I am on a different schedule in that I'm not waking up to an alarm to be in a classroom at a certain time. So I have that luxury, I
sure.
understand, but I really believe in restorative sleep and also nutrition and what you put
Mm,
in your body. You know,
mhm.
make sure that you are fueling your body physically in a healthy way, and all of that will help with the internal work, the emotional work, to get yourself in a safe and happy and productive place. So it's really, you know, spirituality is actually a part of that too. Try to
Mhm.
figure out what you believe, and maybe start paying attention to some signs and synchronicities that are out there in the world trying to guide you towards, you know, self-actualization,
Yeah,
towards more happiness.
absolutely. Absolutely. What is the best advice you could give someone who is struggling with relationship trauma?
There's so much advice, but I would say that, realize you're not alone and that we all have challenges and we need to find ways on working through the challenges. Some people are fortunate enough to work with you as a life coach, or they might resonate with someone else's approach.
Mhm.
They might need that support at some point on their journey. But there's a lot of power within ourselves. I know that that's a big focus on your message too, is to get back to who you are, and that is where the healing will begin. So give yourself, the permission to realize, hey, you've been through something, and but it doesn't mean you have to be stuck in a victimhood mentality. You can take charge, even if it's little steps to get you towards, a happier, peaceful existence.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. Um, I'm going to share how people can find you. And so I'm going to share a couple of things and we'll put them in the show notes below as well. So it is HTTPS, the dots and the slash, God came to my garage sale, the title of your book.com. And you can find the books at Amazon.com, author Dr. Marni Hill Foderaro. Is that right?
Yes, but you can
Okay.
just put in, Marni Foderaro, or you could put in the name of the books, True Deceit, False Love. They're on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. My publisher is Balboa Press, which is a division of Hay House. Great resources in that publishing company with self-help and spirituality. But you can go to my website, godcametomygarage.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being a guest today. We could go on for hours,
Yeah,
couldn't we?
we
And
could.
it is such an honor to have you here with us today. I appreciate your time and the conversation. So don't forget, make sure you go and check out all her website and books that she has available. I can't wait to get my hands on those.
Well,
Thank you for
Denise,
thank you.
for having me.
Thank you. And for those of you watching, make sure that you don't forget we have our upcoming fall program for moms with adult children who are struggling in their relationships. It's called Cut the Cord, Not the Ties. It's an 8-week program. It is live. We go live every week. And I will put the link in the show notes below. So thank you all for joining us today. I wish you all a wonderful week. And thank you again to our special guest for the great conversation.